Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us again for our Telequarium programs. Today, we're going to be having our fabulous Flatfish Friday. So thanks for joining us. We're going to be talking about these extra cool fish today. Today, I'm in front of our shelf life habitat, which has some pretty cool examples of flatfish. They seem to be pretty active. I think they just got fed a little earlier today. So cruising around here on the bottom, this guy over here is especially active. So, oh, he's coming to say hi. Well, hello there, buddy. So he's coming around to say hi, but feel free, check these out while I'm talking. They might do some fun stuff behind my back. We have all sorts of different flatfish going on behind me. So you might be wondering, what exactly is a flatfish? Very good question. So flatfish are indeed what they sound like. They are a flat fish. So this is a little plush of a flatfish, good representative for us. And basically what it is if you took a fish that was swimming like this and then you turned it sideways and smushed it like a pancake, you would pretty much get a flatfish. So they're very unique looking flatfish right here. Now we have about 840 species of flatfish worldwide, and we have some of those species right here in Alaska. So some of those species are Pacific Dover soles. We have Pacific halibut, yellowfin soles. So we have some of those represented in this tank behind me, and these are really important species to Alaska because they're actually a very large commercial species. So a lot of people eat halibut. So you might have seen halibut before, maybe in a grocery store, if you haven't seen them living like we have here in our tanks. So these fish can come in a range of shapes and sizes. The biggest flatfish ever recorded was actually about 495 pounds. That is huge, and it was 8 feet 2 inches tall. So to give you some perspective, I'm about 5'6". And so if I put my hand way above my head, it would still be bigger than me. So a fun activity to do is, if you want, you can see how many of you, or maybe you plus maybe your siblings or your cat or your dog, and you can see how many of you added up together would be equal to that 495-pound flatfish. Or if you stacked you and your sibling on top of each other, would you be as tall as that flatfish? So some fun things to think about there. So these flatfish, we're going to talk a little bit about their anatomy right now. So they can come in some different shapes, as I mentioned before. I'm going to be actually drawing some of these flatfish over here. So if you want to get out a paper and pencil and crayons, you can go ahead and draw along with me. You can create a whole flatfish if you want to. I'm just going to be drawing some pretty simple outlines. They can come in a couple different shapes. So they can have more of a diamond body shape like this. And then they'll have a little fin back here. And then one of the most interesting things about flatfish is they actually have 2 eyes on one side of their head. So we can actually give this guy 2 little eyes right here on the side of his head, and then his mouth will be right here. They have their little fins, and they'll have 1 fin on the top and 1 fin on the bottom. That's kind of just part of their body. So some of them can have this diamond shape, or they can kind of be more of an oval shape, like our little plush flatfish. And their eyes will also be on one side of their head. Kind of goofy looking, but that's what they are. And then we'll draw a little fin on this guy. Maybe this guy had a little bit more of a boxy fin. Yeah, so there are some examples of some flatfish body shapes. You can go ahead and draw your own flatfish. So as I mentioned before, I think one of the most interesting things about flatfish is that they indeed do have 2 eyes on one side of their head. Now it's not the same for all of our flatfish. Some of them have their 2 eyes on the left side of their body. Some of them have their 2 eyes on the right side of their body. Kind of depends on the species where they have their eyes. But they don't start off their lives like this. So flatfish, they start off their lives as tiny little eggs that will just free flow through the ocean. And when they get a little bigger, those eggs will hatch and they will be juvenile little fish or baby fish. Now when they hatch, they're really itty bitty and tiny, and they will just go ahead and swim through the water column. And they look a lot like an ordinary fish. They'll be laid out probably more like this guy. They'll have 1 eye on either side of their head, maybe some little tiny fins. So more like our normal fish anatomy. But something really weird happens to our flatfish when they're about a teenager. So when they get to be about 2.5 centimeters, or about 1 inch, that's about as long as my thumb for perspective. So So once they get about this big, pretty little still, they will actually start to have something really wacky happen. So they will go through an awkward teenage phase, like I'm sure we all did. But the awkward little flatfish here, what will happen is one eye on one side of its head will actually migrate around its head, or sometimes even through its head, until it gets to the other side and they end up with two eyes on one side of their head. Pretty weird. So yeah, this happens over a period of time. And then once they're about 6 months old, they'll grow to be about 24 centimeters long, or about 10 inches, so maybe more about this big, and they pretty much look like miniature adults. So from then on, they're not really going to change too much. They're just going to increase in size and get bigger and bigger throughout their lives. So some of you might be wondering, how exactly long can they live? Kind of depends on the species of flatfish. The oldest one, I believe, was a Pacific halibut, and it lived to be 55 years old. Sometimes they can live to be somewhere in the middle, so some of them have lifespans up to 30 or 25 years, which is a pretty long time for a fish. So they can be pretty old, and they'll just hang out here with us. All right, so now that we've talked about our flatfish, we've maybe gone over some of their anatomy, kind of what they look like, we are going to talk about what they eat. So when our flatfish are hanging out on the bottom, they mostly hang out on their side, like this. So they're not gonna swim around like this too much. They're mostly gonna swim kind of like this, and then they'll swim through the water kind of by doing the worm. If you're really good at dancing, which I am not, you can go ahead and try doing the worm like a flatfish, or like me, you can just kind of go like this, and you can try to pretend that you're swimming like a flatfish. When they hang out on the bottom, they're mostly sit and wait predators. So what I mean by this is, like our flatfish over here, they will just sit in one place and they'll kind of stare out at their surroundings using their two eyes that are on that one side of their head. So this guy is being lovely and demonstrating for us. He's right down here and he's kind of cruising around, looking around on those little eye stalks. So their vision with these eye stalks, they can see kind of around them, but they can't really turn their head without turning their body. So in order to kind of see like a flatfish, what you can do is you can stand in one place in your room, and you can go ahead and just fix your viewpoint at one thing, and you can see just by moving your eyes, how many things can you see in your room. And that kind of gives you a perspective of how a flatfish sees. So for example, if I'm looking over here and I'm just fixing my gaze at a point over there, I can see our seal habitat, which is right over here. And I can just barely see the flatfish tank out of the corner of my eye, and then I can see like a light over here, but that's pretty much it without moving my head. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how our flatfish sees. So while they're sitting around, down here on the bottom of the ocean floor, what might they be waiting for? So like we said, sit and wait predators. They're just going to sit here and they're gonna wait for tiny things to come by. They can eat all sorts of things like crustaceans, sometimes small worms. They can even eat copepods, which are a kind of plankton. So small little things like that. They can eat snails and slugs and mussels, all sorts of things on the bottom of the ocean. So they're pretty good at scavenging around for whatever they can find. When they're trying to sneak up on their prey, they're actually really good at blending in with their surroundings, and they have the ability to change color slightly to blend in with where they are. So they can observe their surroundings and then change their color to actually match. So some of our flatfish hanging out on the bottom of this tank, you might not have been able to see right away because they're really good at blending in with this sandy bottom. So we actually have a super fun challenge for all of you to try with us. We've cut out some silhouettes of a flatfish, much like this one, out of some carpet that matches our carpet we have here at the Sea Life Center. And we've hidden them around in an area that we're gonna show you in just a second. So what you can do, we're gonna overlay a grid on this area. And basically, it's gonna work like a giant game of Battleship. So if you think you know where a flatfish is hidden, you can tell us in the comments below what square that flatfish is in. So for example, if you think a flatfish is hidden at A5, so go over to A and then down to 5, and that's where you think that flatfish is, just comment A5 in the comments. And then you can put as many squares as you think there are flatfish hidden. And then at the very end of this video, we will show you where all of those flatfish are. So go ahead and grab maybe a piece of paper if you want to do it on a piece of paper, or if you're on a device, you can go ahead and go to the comments, and we are going to show you right now where all of our flatfish are hidden. So give us just a second and we'll get over there for you. All right, so here is our view of our bottom habitat for our carpet flatfish. They are going to be hanging out here, and there's a couple hidden. Some of them might be a little easier to see. Some of them you might have to look a little bit harder. So we're going to give you a couple minutes to just go ahead and look at this area, and we're going to be putting up that grid shortly. And now that you can see that grid, if you think you know an area that there is a halibut located, what you're going to do is you're just going to comment that square. So like B7, for example, if you think that's where a halibut is, you could comment that down below and let us know what you see. All right, it looks like we got our first guess in, so keep guessing, everyone. If you see any flatfish out there, it doesn't have to be the halibut, it can be any of our flatfish. So some of them might be a little smaller, some of them might be a little bit bigger, but go ahead and keep looking. We're gonna give you a little bit more time here, so you can keep looking at those flatfish and keep commenting and tell us if you found any. All right, we're gonna wrap up this activity, so we're gonna give you about 30 more seconds to look for our flatfish. If you're still looking, I will give you a hint. There are actually 6 flatfish located in this area. I know it may not seem like it, but there are 6. So if you found a couple, go ahead and keep looking. If you wanna go back and have more time with this screen, if you want to pause this screen here, feel free to do that. You can even maybe challenge somebody else in your house who hasn't seen this video yet and go ahead and have them see how many flatfish they can find here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about flatfish, but we are going to come back here at the very end of our video and I will reveal to you where all of the flatfish are hidden. All right, so I hope you had fun participating in that activity with us. Like I said before, we'll give away the answers in just a second. But before we do that, I just wanted to wrap up our discussion about flatfish by saying what you can do if you like flatfish to help them. So, like we were talking about earlier, our friends the flatfish here, they like to eat lots of things like mussels and crabs and things with shells that like to live on the bottom of our ocean. So because of the impact that humans are having on our planet right now, a lot of animals in the ocean are having a really difficult time building their shells. And these are the kinds of things that flatfish really like to eat. So if you can limit your impact on the planet by maybe taking a bike to school, or if you're gonna go somewhere and your friends are going too, maybe carpool, or even something as simple as just turning the lights off when you leave the house. Anything like that can help, and then hopefully our flatfish will be able to have more food available in their habitat. You can also make sure that if you are buying flatfish, like maybe halibut, from a store, you can make sure that it comes from a sustainable source. So try to make sure your seafood is sourced sustainably. All right, everyone, so thank you so much for tuning in today for our fabulous Flatfish Friday. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you like what we're doing here at the Alaska Sea Life Center, go ahead and give us a big thumbs up. And you can also subscribe to our channel down below and comment and tell us if you liked our activity. We'll keep reading the comments down below if you have any questions, or if you just want to keep telling us where you think those flatfish are hidden. And make sure to join us tomorrow for some more streams. All right, goodbye, everybody. But if you're still here, we're going to reveal the flatfish. Okay, friends, so this is the last time. If you do not want to see where the flatfish are hidden, click away now, pause the video, go back, because I'm going to reveal where they are. Okay, so we're gonna start with this one right here. So this one is a arrowhead flatfish. And we have this one. I almost stepped right over it. This one right here is a starry flatfish. And we have another one over here. This one, not sure which one that one is. We have one hidden right back here. This is our flathead. And then this giant one right here, which you may or may not have seen. This is gonna be our Pacific halibut, very large. And all the way hidden back in the corner, I bet you didn't think there was one here, but there is. This one is our butter flatfish. All right, so that's where all the flatfish are hidden. So thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we'll see you all again later. Bye, everybody.